They came into each other's lives in the early 90s, long before streaming, algorithms, or viral fame, back when soul music was alive and openly celebrated. They were two artists on parallel paths, drawn to the same frequency. Dangelo was barely out of his teens, a quiet prodigy whose voice carried the weight of generations, as if he had borrowed something sacred from another lifetime. Angie Stone was older, grounded, and ready to help him realize his dream of becoming a star. And now, two of the genre's most distinct voices have been silenced within the same year, leaving behind a body of work that reminds us how rare and fleeting true artistry can be. Today, we'll be discussing how their worlds collided and the legacy they left behind. But before we dive into today's video, don't forget to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of applewood smoked bacon jerky, freeze-dried goodies, and butter toffee peanuts. Angie Laverne Stone was born on December 18, 1961. In the 70s, the South Carolina native formed a rap trio with her high school friends Cheryl the Pearl Cook and Gwendolyn Blondie Chisholm, called The Sequence. Meanwhile, Michael Eugene Archer, better known as Dangelo, was born on February 11, 1974. He grew up in the Pentecostal church in Richmond, Virginia. His brother Luther came home from school one day and found 3-year-old Dangelo playing a Prince song on the piano. Luther told Red Bull Music Academy, "It was just one of those amazing types of things." According to a GQ article, Dangelo was 5 years old when his parents split up. Since his mom was going through her own struggles, he and his brothers lived with their father, who was a preacher. When he turned 9, his dad began battling his own demons, so Dangelo and his siblings packed everything up and moved back in with their mom. Angie married a man named Rodney Stone from the hip-hop group Funky 4+1, and they welcomed their daughter Diamond in 1984. Angie and Rodney's relationship didn't last, and they went their separate ways. She became a member of the R&B trio Vertical Hold, best known for their 1993 album A Matter of Time, which included the hit song Seems You're Just Too Busy. As for Dangelo, he played music in his grandfather's church, and when he became a teenager, he formed different music groups, including Michael Archer and Precise, which had success on the amateur night competition at the Apollo Theater. In the 90s, he became affiliated with a hip-hop group called IDU, and he dropped out of high school to focus on his music career. In 1993, 31-year-old Angie met 19-year-old Dangelo. She told GQ magazine that she knew Dangelo would become a superstar. There was also an innocence within him that she became protective of, and she became somewhat of a mother figure to him. In an interview with Essence magazine, she described Dangelo as being awkward. He wore glasses, had short hair, and wore his pants hanging down to his butt. Angie said, "No one saw his beauty but me." After becoming an item, things progressed quickly. Angie became his anchor when the world started spinning too quickly. She saw what he couldn't see in himself. She said he struggled with low self-esteem and didn't believe he was special. So she told him that one day his lips, his eyes, his voice, and everything about him would be known everywhere. By this point, his group IDU had conducted a meeting with record executives. However, the bigwigs weren't interested in the entire group. They were more amazed by Dangelo's background vocals, and they could see his potential. According to Greensboro.com, he signed a solo deal with the publishing company and eventually signed a deal with EMI record label. His first major success came in 1994, when he co-wrote and co-produced the song You Will Know for the supergroup Black Men United. That single helped create buzz for his debut album. Angie and Vertical Hold released their sophomore album, Head First, in 1995. Dangelo contributed to the album by co-writing a song with Angie called Pray. Vertical Hold broke up shortly thereafter, and Angie briefly joined another group, while Dangelo focused on recording his debut album, Brown Sugar. Angie became his muse. Although he didn't write any songs specifically for her, she said her love, presence, and spirit flowed into his music. Brown Sugar was released in 1995 and sold 300,000 copies within the first few months of its release. During an interview with Fox Soul, Angie said she was a really tiny girl for most of her life. However, after battling chronic high blood pressure and sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease that impacts the organs, she was placed on steroids, and the medication caused her to gain excessive weight. Despite the challenges in her physical appearance, Angie said Dangelo's feelings towards her never changed. She said it wasn't until his debut album was released that people noticed his attractiveness. After the public found out he was in a relationship with Angie, people commented that he was too fine to be with someone like her. It was a massive blow to her ego, but their love for each other was too strong to be dismantled by outside voices. In September 1996, they attended an event that was described as fashion designer Giorgio Armani's tribute to D'Angelo. They rented a limo, and as they were approaching the venue, the car pulled over. Angie said D'Angelo was asked to get into another car, where he would be escorted inside the event by Vivica A. Fox. Angie told GQ magazine, "It was a Hollywood moment. They wanted a trophy girl. I had to walk in behind them to flashing cameras. It started the wheels turning of what was yet to come." Things got worse from there. When Madonna turned 39, she asked D'Angelo to sing Happy Birthday to her at her star-studded party. Eyewitnesses later claimed Madonna sat on his lap and began French kissing him in front of everyone. D'Angelo went on tour for 2 years to promote the album, and in the end, he said he was left with writer's block. For the next few years, he took a break from writing and released cover versions and remakes of songs to keep his fans satisfied. Angie got her breakthrough as a solo artist in the late 90s when she signed to Clive Davis's Arista Records. By then, she was in her late 30s, which meant she was older and wiser than other emerging artists. While she hoped her talent would override ageism in the industry, she told The Breakfast Club that Clive advised her to never mention her previous rap career with the sequence, as it would reveal her real age. It takes two to make a relationship work, and as D'Angelo started touring, there was temptation at every corner. On top of that, he felt intense pressure from his record company to create a successful second album. Feeling burnt out, he was unclear about which direction to go musically, up until Angie gave birth to their son, Michael Archer II, in 1997. D'Angelo told Vibe magazine that suddenly his writer's block was removed. After leaving the hospital, he and Angie co-wrote a love letter to their child called Send It On. The song was featured on his sophomore album, Voodoo, which was released in 2000. The album was called a masterpiece by music critics, as it landed at the #1 spot on the Billboard charts. It sold more than 1 million units in 5 weeks, and D'Angelo won 2 Grammy Awards. The video for Untitled How Does It Feel completely changed the game for the entire music video industry. The success of his follow-up album came at a cost. At the start of the Voodoo tour, he began to have major emotional and mental health issues. His tour's band leader, Questlove, told GQ magazine that fans were screaming, "Take it off! Take it off!" every time D'Angelo appeared on stage, causing the singer to panic. He was worried he wouldn't look as chiseled and in shape as he did in the How Does It Feel music video. Questlove said D'Angelo would become so frustrated that his fans were treating him like a piece of meat. Questlove said sometimes they would even have to beg him not to cancel shows altogether. On the last day of the tour, D'Angelo told Questlove, "I cannot wait until this tour is over. I'm going to go in the woods, drink some hooch, grow a beard, and get fat." Questlove thought he was playing around, but he wasn't. When the tour ended, D'Angelo attempted to go back to his normal life, but that wasn't possible with the fame he had acquired. The media had grown relentless with negative stories about him and Angie's relationship and about Angie's appearance. Angie told Essence magazine, "I dated someone who was younger than me, and the rest of the world came down on our relationship, saying that he had an ulterior motive. They made me feel like I wasn't beautiful, like as if this person couldn't love me." Eventually, their relationship crumbled, although it took them a while to let go of each other. She told Rolling Stone magazine, "Neither one of us wanted to be the first to say goodbye." She also told Essence magazine that he fathered a daughter with a woman named Marsha Daly, and he rarely made time to see the son he shared with Angie. She said he was too focused on his life and trying to get his career back on track. It was a difficult situation for her to deal with. She felt that she played a part in his success, building him up, hyping him up, and giving him confidence, only for him to betray her. In between their relationship issues, her weight ballooned to 230 pounds, and in 1999 she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Dangelo also dealt with weight issues, substance abuse problems, had a third child named Morocco, and had run-ins with the law. Angie's 1999 debut album, Black Diamond, which was named after her daughter, was a critical and commercial success. It featured the hit single No More Rain, In This Cloud, which sampled Gladys Knight and the Pips' Neither One of Us Wants to Be the First to Say Goodbye, and the songs Every Day and Life Story. She joined Clive at his new label, J Records, and released her sophomore album, Mahogany Soul, in 2001. The album became one of her most celebrated works, featuring the hit single Wish I Didn't Miss You. The song, built around a sample of the OJ's Backstabbers, became a defining anthem of heartbreak and resilience, earning Angie a new level of mainstream recognition. Other standout tracks from Mahogany Soul include Brother, which is a tribute to Black men, and a duet with Calvin Richardson called More Than a Woman. Now, let's fast forward to 2005. Singer John Mayer wrote an open letter in Esquire magazine, begging D'Angelo to release a new album. But D'Angelo had other things to worry about. He was pulled over in Richmond and was charged with disturbing the peace, driving under the influence, driving without a license, and possession of substances. When his mugshot hit the internet, his fans were shocked by his appearance. When his manager, Dominique Trenier, heard the news, Dominique borrowed a tour bus, drove out from California to Virginia, picked up D'Angelo, and drove him back to a California recovery center. But treatment didn't help. D'Angelo said the moment he left the facility, he went straight to the liquor store. Months later, he was driving his Hummer on a suspended license when his vehicle crossed the roadway and struck a fence. D'Angelo, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, was ejected from the car. His passenger, a woman named Lynn Sellers, was also injured. Following the accident, he released a statement to the Associated Press, saying he banged up his ribs but was fine and was excited to return to the studio. Many believed the accident would be his wake-up call, but it wasn't until rapper Jay Dilla passed away in February 2006 at the age of 32 from cardiac arrest that D'Angelo decided it was time to get help. He checked into Eric Clapton's treatment center in Antigua and remained there for an entire month. After completing treatment, he signed a deal with J Records in 2007, but there was more trouble happening in his private life. On March 6, 2010, he was locked up after he offered an NYPD undercover officer $40 for her services. As for Angie, she was hospitalized for congestive heart failure and made an appearance on Celebrity Fit Club, where she dropped from a size 18 to a size 14. She released the album Stone Love in 2004. After that, she contemplated leaving secular music and diving into gospel music, all because she was fed up with her situation at J Records. She told Essence magazine that she loved Clive, but the label was overcrowded. In addition to that, she felt like the label wanted to replace her with younger artists like Fantasia Barrino and Jennifer Hudson. Angie also wasn't receiving the support and marketing she needed for her own project. When she expressed her disappointment with the label, instead of resolving the issue with her, they allowed her to walk away. She racked up a bunch of acting credits in the upcoming years, and in 2007 she released her fourth studio album, The Art of Love and War, on Stax Records. The album, which included duets with legends like Betty Wright and James Ingram, was a commercial success. Her follow-up album, 2009's Unexpected, received excellent reviews, but only peaked at number 17 on the Billboard Top R&B Hip-Hop Albums chart. She started dating a man named Ashanti Graves. They got engaged after 8 months, and she told Essence that God had chosen the right man for her. Just like D'Angelo, Ashanti was a younger man, and according to Angie, he and D'Angelo had one thing in common. They were both extremely controlling. Nonetheless, Angie hired Ashanti to be her manager, and things were running smoothly at first. Ashanti even stepped in and played the role of a father figure for her children, especially the son she shared with D'Angelo. She eventually put the wedding on the back burner and left Stax Records to join Saguaro Road Rhythm record label. In 2013, she dropped the album Rich Girl, which sold less than 5,000 copies in its first week in the U.S. To shake things up and potentially introduce her music to a broader audience, Angie joined Season 2 of R&B Divas Atlanta in 2013. To her surprise, the show would bring out a side of Ashanti that she never expected. Sources close to Angie told the YBF website that Ashanti was having an affair with a member of the show's production team. A second source told the website that after finding out about the betrayal, Angie ended their engagement and fired him as her manager. Years later, Angie told Ebony magazine that the rumors about Ashanti cheating on her were true. But not only was he hooking up with someone on the R&B Divas production crew, but she also found out he was dating 5 other women. Ashanti went on to marry someone else and got divorced shortly thereafter. D'Angelo was still taking a break from the industry and spent his time mastering the guitar and practicing the instrument for 6 hours a day. After his weight reached 300 pounds, he began a diet of fish and green apples, turned to the gym to trim his 5'7" frame. After management changes, record company changes, and several personal issues, he released Black Messiah in 2014 and took home 2 Grammys. In June 2015, he told Rolling Stone that he was working on more material for a new album, calling it a companion piece to Black Messiah. Meanwhile, Angie signed with Shinachi Entertainment, and her 7th studio album, Dream, was released in 2015. The album peaked at number 59 on the Billboard charts. 2015 also brought along some major drama for her and her family. In March 2015, she was arrested for knocking her daughter Diamond's teeth out during an altercation. Angie admitted to hitting her daughter in the mouth with a jewelry stand out of self-defense, but said her daughter's teeth were rotting out of her mouth long before the fight.
Have an altercation as such. You can bite down on your lip, and if a tooth is already brittle and decaying, it's coming out. You know, when you fight and you like this, you're doing something with your mouth.
See ya, Angie.
She switched labels again and signed with Golden Lane Records to release her 8th studio album, Covered in Soul, in 2016. In 2019, she was on the move again and signed with Conjunction Entertainment in a partnership with Cleopatra Records to release her 2019 album, Full Circle, followed by her final album in 2023 called Love Language. For years, fans of Angie and D'Angelo have wished that the two would reunite and work on music together. However, Angie told Vlad TV in a 2023 interview that D'Angelo's pride and ego wouldn't allow it. She added, "He doesn't want to share the credit. He doesn't want it to look like, what if I get with her and we win? Then it's going to look like she did it." In December 2024, she hopped back on Instagram Live to tell her fans she had a blood infection that left her hospitalized and unable to perform. Thankfully, after 2 weeks, the infection cleared up. However, Angie said that as she was getting better, she learned that Universal Music Group, also known as UMG, had stolen her royalty payments. Until her final days, Angie continued to perform as much as possible, despite her health issues. In a 2019 interview with Big Issue North website, she said she wanted to take a break, but she had too many people depending on her. She said, "I have a family to feed. I have 2 kids and 2 grandkids. I have no husband. I have 1 parent that I take care of, so I can't quit because they all depend on me. Whereas I would like to settle down and have an easy life, it's almost impossible because so much of the weight is on me. I keep on going because of my family. Less than 3 months after exposing UMG for allegedly stealing her royalties, Angie left a performance in Mobile, Alabama, and was headed to Baltimore in a Sprinter van with 8 people, including her crew and backup singers. According to TMZ, the van crashed on the interstate. Sadly, she was the only one who didn't survive. She passed away on March 1st, 2025, at the age of 63. And then, 7 months later, on October 14th, 2025, it was announced that Dangelo had passed away at the age of 51 after battling pancreatic cancer. His family released a statement that read, "The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life. We are saddened that he can only leave dear memories with his family, but we are eternally grateful for the legacy of extraordinarily moving music he leaves behind." Angie Stone and Dangelo changed the landscape of R&B. They reminded us that music could still feel human, that vulnerability could be powerful, and that soul didn't have to be polished to be profound. They gave pieces of themselves to a world that was never truly deserving of their talent. While their time here ended too soon, their impact, music, and legacy will live on forever.